Chapter 6. My Story, Our Connection. I was born in southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, in 1953. Looking back, the first 60 years of my life felt as if they were lived, in one way or another, at war. There were many adventures and memorable moments, but these were also intertwined with painful losses, challenges, and tough new beginnings. In 1976 and 1977, I served as a combat medic in the Rhodesian Bush War, working in a four-man stick along the Rhodesia-Mozambique border. We patrolled 7 to 10 days at a time in areas where terrorists operated in groups of up to 300. That experience of death, loss, and hypervigilance etched itself into my soul and then rippled into the rest of my life. After the war, I left Rhodesia for South Africa, then later Australia, then Israel, then England. I eventually returned to South Africa and then to Australia, where I have remained. It was an adventure, but with a price to pay. Along the way, 2 marriages unraveled and other relationships with them. Outwardly, I kept moving through new countries, new work, new beginnings. Inwardly, a restlessness would not settle. It took years to understand that the urge to relocate, to keep going, was its own kind of survival signal. If I kept moving, perhaps the past could not catch me up. I searched for stillness wherever I could find it. I began a meditation practice in 1972 and held to it as a lifeline. I ran. What began as 10-kilometer jogs became half marathons, then ultramarathons, culminating in the 87.4-kilometer uphill Comrades Ultramarathon in South Africa in 1990 at the age of 37. I ran trails and roads right into my mid-60s, running in extreme heat and looking for the wall, believing that on the far side of exhaustion, I might finally meet and heal the grief and loneliness I had carried since my early days. Running grounded me, if only for a while. Adventure became another teacher. I once tried to mountain bike from the UK to Israel without a map or a plan, an idea that now makes me smile at my own unplanned impulsiveness. In 1984, after finishing a certificate to teach English as a second language in the UK and working for a few months in a bicycle shop, I bought one of the early heavy steel frame mountain bikes and decided that I would pedal to Israel. The surviving photo tells the whole story. No shoes, a guitar roped to the top of a bike stacked with gear, and not a map in sight. 3 days in, pollen struck lungs and a bike, the weight of a small car, turned a hilltop into a state of sheer exhaustion. Sometimes, quitting early is wisdom disguised as surrender. I took the train back to London, flew to Tel Aviv with my bike, and was selected as one of 5 to start the British Council English Language Centre there. During a summer break, 5 of us decided to cycle across the desert from Tel Aviv to Eilat in 2 days. 342 kilometers of heat shimmering and long unbending tar. They arrived with sleek road bikes. I rolled up on my steel mountain bike with fat tires. We rode through the day and into the night, and after 225 kilometers my legs had turned to lead and my sense of humor had deserted me. Under a night of stars that only the silence of a vast desert can display, we slept in the bowl of an ancient volcanic crater. The camaraderie, the exhaustion, the sky and the ground for a mattress were both hard and beautiful all at once. Then came the first marathon, the Tiberias Marathon in Israel. Beach runs had given me a misplaced confidence. So I turned up with an old pair of running shoes, still half full of sand. Scenic, yes, but sensible, no. Around halfway, my feet felt that they were running on sandpaper. I kept going anyway, stubbornness stirred with determination, and laughed at myself at the finish. Another episode like the mountain bike, of adventure without planning, or more honestly, stupidity on the move despite finishing in 3.44 hours. In 1990, I had several marathons and 2 ultramarathons behind me. In Cape Town, I entered a 100-kilometer walk. I arrived at 5 a.m. in a vest, shorts, and old shoes. I had no warm gear, no nutrition plan. The others were professional, lean, fit club walkers. The first 50 kilometers hammered us with wind and rain. I staggered through the cold, too weary to stop, because I knew I might not start again. Night fell near 70 kilometers. Every step became a negotiation between will and collapse. When I crossed the finishing line, alone, in the dark, there was no crowd, only the sound of my own ragged breathing and the slight weight of a medal. I crawled into a shower and nearly passed out. Sometimes, survival is the medal. These misadventures were never just stories. They were training grounds for living. They were rehearsals for the invisible crossings between who we were and who we are becoming. In the years between them, I led a West African drumming circle, served communities, worked hard, and experienced long periods of loss and aloneness. The silence and grief of memory and losses pressed around me. There were long periods, sometimes years, when the ache of aloneness sat at the edge of everything. Without meditation and the discipline of well-being, I don't know how I would have made it through. Understanding deepened when I became a psychologist and began sitting with current serving members and veterans. In their eyes, I saw my own story of disconnection, grief, and the search for belonging and purpose. I learned how service imprints the brain and body, how trauma moves through the nervous system, and how moral injuries mark the soul. I would also rediscover the strength we brought home of discipline, loyalty, endurance, and mission focus. Walking beside others on their healing journeys, I began to see a clearer map of our shared post-service terrain and the paths that help. A mission formed, which was that no one who has served should ever feel abandoned in their disconnection or consumed by aloneness. We are not here merely to survive, rather we have the right to thrive. Part of that mission is language. I speak of post-traumatic stress without the D. We are not disordered. We are adapting. Healing begins when we come back to tribe and when we reconnect with those who understand, when purpose returns, and when someone has our six. Then value returns, and homecoming begins, first to others, then back to ourselves. As I write this companion, I carry my tribe within me. They are these wonderful, caring men and women who remind me daily that I am not alone. I belong. And in 2013, life gave me a gift I never expected. I met my wife-to-be, Christina. We come from different worlds. She from Brazil, I from Rhodesia. With her, I've learned to soften without surrendering who I am. In that gentleness, I found a peace I had not believed was possible. It was and remains a stillness that heals. If there is one thing I would pass on, it is this. Never lose hope, no matter how long the road. Never lose faith, even when the nights feel endless. Keep seeking your tribe and those who will stand beside you and keep your heart open. You never know when or how healing will come, but when it does, it changes everything. I've only given a glimpse here of my life, not because the details don't matter, but because the thread running through them is the message I most want to share. We are all on a journey of recovery. We are gathering our scattered parts, integrating what service and life have carved into us, and learning to live with meaning again. We are entitled to re-find our tribe, in whatever shape it takes, and to be fully who we are in the presence of one another. Those early escapades, the heavy bike, the desert ride, the wind-lashed 100-kilometer walk, taught me what transition still teaches, which is that there is rarely a clear route or a tidy map. Most of the time, it is uncertain, exhausting, sometimes absurd and always instructive. Every stumble is a waypoint. Every challenge is a message. Every act of getting back up is proof that courage is still alive in you. To my brothers and sisters in uniform, past and present, and to the first responders who shoulder other people's emergencies. When the structure falls away, it can feel like you're stranded without a compass, as if no one speaks your language. You are not lost. You are in transition. What you carry is not brokenness, rather it is experience. Disconnection is often meaning searching for a new home. No map is perfect, and no road is without obstacles. But somewhere along the way, isolation turns towards connection, loss towards belonging, endings towards homecoming. So keep showing up, keep learning. Forgive the impulsive leaps and learn from them. Keep your inner fire burning. Keep seeking your tribe. The path will wind and rise, but you are not walking it alone. And take time to laugh when you can, even if it's at my expense and my misadventures. We are human. We are flawed, impulsive, remarkable and noble. Life is not always a carefully planned operation. When the first round flies, even the best plans can hit the dust. We all carry wounds and scars. As I write this book at the age of 72, I continue to walk with my grief that whispers to me and at times crowds around me. Life at times stripped away so much of what I loved and held dear. However, in walking with this and befriending it, I have touched on my capacity for gratitude, respect, and care for myself and others, as well as my integrity, empathy, and most of all, my faith. These are the acronyms, these are the words for the acronym grief. I know that all our hearts share the common beat of service, and a life well lived and hard lived at times. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for walking this road with me. What follows are a few photos, some old and faded, from my misadventures. We are not alone. With care and respect, Barry.